Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we are doing my physical TBR, which are all the books that I own in my life that I just haven't read. It's a lot more than I thought it was. I thought I've read a lot of the books that I own. Apparently I haven't. Today is all about those books that I have just excluded and haven't got to yet. Let's get on with that. There's also a reason why I haven't gotten to all these books, and I'm gonna say that. The first book on my shelf that I have yet to get to is When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi. This is a memoir of a neurosurgeon, I'm pretty sure, who gets a very big cancer diagnosis and does not have a lot longer to live, and he basically just writes about his life and his final days. And I got this last year for Christmas and I just haven't got to it yet, but it is becoming really popular right now and I've seen it all over Instagram, so I'm really excited to get to this because apparently a lot of people really like it and it's just really inspiring, and I really want to read more books like this in 2023. The next book on my shelf that I just have yet to get to is A Man Called Ove by Frederick Backman. I've seen this everywhere. I actually tried to read this and I got pretty far into it and it was just so boring that I couldn't continue. I didn't care for the reason that everybody loves it is everybody says the main character you just fall in love with, and I just didn't care for him. It was just way too much grumpiness, way too much I don't care about life, and I was just this isn't happy, so I didn't finish it. The next book on my TBR that I just have yet to get to is Paris is Always a Good Idea by Jen McKinley. This is a very cute little romance, and if you watched my last video, you know that I'm not just the biggest fan of romances. I don't really like all the cutesy stuff. I get kind of bored with it, but I bought this at Half Price Books because it was so cute, and I do want to give it a try because I also love Paris, and I feel like a romance in Paris is better than a regular old romance. I don't know, but I'm gonna give this a try at some point. The next book on my TBR is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, if that's how you say it. I have heard that this is the most amazing book ever, but then people on BookTube are saying that it's very graphic, and that scares me. And I have a lot going on right now, and I don't think a really graphic book is what I need. So, but I am really excited to read it. I think it will live up to the hype that says that it's really good. You know? The next book on my TBR is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I found this from Nicole Gallagher. I found this author from Nicole Gallagher, and she apparently just loves this book. It was one of her top favorite books of last year or of all time, something like that. And it made me super excited to read it because I trust Nicole's opinion more than anybody else's, so I really want to read this, but it's kind of chunk and that also kind of scares me. So the next book on my TBR is The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. This is a classic, and I want to read more classics in the future. I try to read one every year, and this is the one that I picked for this year, along with a couple others. I got this a long time ago and I haven't read it, so this is why I'm making it my goal to read this one this year as my classic for the year. The next book on my TBR is In Short by Judith Kitchen and Mary Palmer Jones. And it's a collection of brief creative nonfiction, which is really interesting because I don't even know what that means. Obviously it's going to be nonfiction, which is something that I want to jump into this year as well, so I think short stories of nonfiction is a good way to jump into nonfiction. I don't want to really read a whole book about something nonfiction because that's a lot of commitment, so I think short stories of nonfiction is a lot easier to accomplish. So I'm really excited to get to this, but I have had it for a long time and I just never have gotten to it, but another goal for 2023. The next book that I just haven't read is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I don't even have to look at her name to know this author, to know this book, to know she wrote this series. It is so popular and I have heard so many good things about it, but there's so many series that I want to get into and I just haven't I don't know. I don't have the time to get into a million series at once, so I have to take them one by one. This one just happens to be not first on my list. A series that is on my TBR that is coming up really fast on my want to read list, the Three Dark Crowns series by Kendare Blake. Kendare? Don't really know how to say that. I have all four. I found them for like $20 on Pango Books. And the reason I have all of them is because I read the first two a long time ago and I remember absolutely loving them. And then I just never read the rest. Like there's two other books and I just read the first two, loved them. Never went back to the other two. So I really want to give these a try this year. I'm super excited just knowing what the first two are about. I haven't read them for a while, so it'll kind of be like reading it for the first time again. I'm super excited for these. Next book that I actually got with that series in a little same order kind of situation on Pango Books, I got Darling Girl by Liz Mikulski. This is like a Peter Pan retelling. I haven't heard the best things about this, but I think it has like a 3.7 on Goodreads, which is a pretty good Goodreads rating. If you take in how many people have read that book, then a lot of people are giving it 5 stars then. So I think I'll like it because I also really love myths. What do you call it? Like fairy tales? And I love Peter Pan. I love Tinkerbell. I think I'll really enjoy it. My camera just cut out on me and I don't know why, so if the situation's a little different, I'm so sorry. Okay, are we back? I think we're back. Okay. The next book that I've been wanting to read for so long and I just haven't got to it is Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen. I've seen this everywhere. It's a movie and I know it's really sad, and I'm also like just not, you know, you're never like in the mood for a sad book. So I think I just need to get to it and read it. It seems like it would be a pretty fast read, you know, bigger words, lots of dialogue. I think I just need to get to this and figure out why it's so good. The next book is one that my mom loves and she just really wants me to get to, and that is Dear Edward by Anne Napolitano. I've seen this again everywhere. We have like a library version of it. This is our copy, but it's like a old library version of it. I don't know what it's about, but I know it's supposed to be super good and I'm really excited to get to it, whenever that may be. I lied when I just have one classic that I want to read this year. I have two, and that other one is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This is a book that I was supposed to read junior year of high school, and I didn't because COVID hit right before we were supposed to read this, and we actually all got sent home with these like old copies of them, and then we never read them. And I actually have that old copy, but I found this really adorable copy for like $3, and I had to get it, and it's just really making me want to read it a lot more than that old tattered copy that I still have from my high school that I was supposed to return, and I never did. So I'm sorry, English teacher in high school, for not returning The Great Gatsby. The next book that I really want to get to at some point is The Thief by Megan Wallen Turner. I saw Peru's Project, Reagan, on BookTube. She read this book and she loved it, and it apparently is a super good fantasy book series, but it's super short, and apparently it packs a lot into these few pages, and that is also really appealing for, you know, your reading challenge when you're kind of running behind. Pick up a good short fantasy. I'm probably just going to keep it until I need it then. The next book is by an author that I really want to try out, and that is The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. She wrote the Cruel Prince trilogy, if I'm not mistaken. And I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about The Cruel Prince. I know a lot of people loved it. I know a lot of people said it was just a really crappy fantasy. And I'm not a fan of crappy fantasies. I know a good fantasy when I read one. I've read a lot of them. So I don't think I'm going to give The Cruel Prince a try. I just don't want that cringy fantasy world, dialogue. I don't know what it is that makes it cringy, but I just don't really want to try it out. And so I think maybe a different book by her I could try first, and if I like this, then I'll like The Cruel Prince. I don't know. We'll see. That's why I haven't gotten to it, because I'm just so iffy about her. The next book on my TBR is The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. This is a movie, I think, or it's being made into a movie. No, it is a movie. I don't know if I'll ever get to this. I bought it at a Goodwill because I've heard of it, but it's really intimidating. There's a lot of words on each page. It's really thick, really thin pages too. Oh, it takes place in Paris. Okay, maybe I'll read it. That kind of changed my mind. Next book on my TBR is The Silent Wife by A.S.A. Harrison. Honestly, I got this because I thought it was the book The Silent Patient, and that book is very popular right now. I thought it was that. So I don't know if I'll ever read this. It is a thriller, which I think. It was just about a marriage in catastrophe. Okay, maybe I'll read it. I'm not the biggest fan of thrillers. They kind of freak me out sometimes. I think this would be good, now that I read the synopsis. The next book on my TBR is Working Fire by Emily Bleeker. I got this in a big book stack that I got from Facebook Marketplace for $10, and it actually looks pretty good. A lot of the other books I've already read, and they were all really amazing, but I've never seen this one around. I think this was just a random one she was selling, but it sounds pretty good. I think it's a thriller because there's people having strokes and 911 and home invasion and critical condition. Those are all words on the back of this synopsis, so I think it's a thriller or a sad book. I don't know, but maybe I'll get to it. The last physical book that I own that I have not read is The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. She's the author of Station 11, which I have heard of that one. I think I've heard of this one a little bit. I also think this is a thriller horror book, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, it's just about crisis and money, about greed and guilt. Oh, okay, so I don't think this is like a thriller. I make assumptions about books, and that's why I haven't gotten to so many of these, because I just assume there's something else than they entirely are. And so I will be reading this. This sounds really good. That is all for my physical TBR. Again, those are the books that I own that I have not read. I have a lot of books on Kindle Unlimited that I also want to read. There's a lot of good books on there and a lot of popular books on there, so I didn't include those. But yeah, I'm really excited to get to a lot of these now that I know what they are. I just apparently didn't know what any of them were, and it just kept me from reading them. So I'm really excited that I figured out what a lot of them were, and hopefully I can get to them soon. If you watched to the end, please make sure to give this a thumbs up and maybe comment your TBR. I really like to know what people are reading, or if there's a book in here that I was a little apprehensive about and you've read it and you really liked it, maybe let me know, and maybe that'll make me read it a little faster. That's enough for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and maybe I'll see you next time. Bye!